In a lab in Rochester, New York, sometime in late 1975, an engineer walked into a room full of company executives. He was carrying a toaster-sized box, wires, circuit boards, a cassette tape sticking out the side. He showed them something no one in that room had ever seen before, a camera with no film. The executives in that room had a choice to make, and the choice they made would take almost 40 years to fully destroy them. This is the story of Kodak. Quick context in case you've never actually used one. Film photography meant your camera used a strip of chemically treated plastic to physically capture the image. No screen, no instant preview. You'd shoot maybe 24 or 36 photos on a roll, then take it to a shop, wait a few days, and only then find out if any of them turned out. That entire process, buying film, shooting it, developing it, that was the business Kodak built its entire empire on. Kodak wasn't just a camera company. For most of the 20th century, they basically were the camera industry. 90% of film sales in America, 85% of camera sales. You know the phrase, a Kodak moment? That's not just an old ad slogan. That phrase became part of how English-speaking people actually talk. That's how dominant this brand was. By 1996, they were pulling in almost $16 billion a year, one of the biggest, most trusted brands on the planet.
So here's where it gets strange. Back in 1975, a young engineer at Kodak named Steven Sasson was handed a strange assignment. Could a camera work without film at all? He built a prototype, a CCD sensor, 16 batteries, a lens borrowed from a Super 8 movie camera. It weighed about 8 pounds. Image quality was rough, 0.01 megapixels. It took 23 seconds just to save one photo onto a cassette tape. But none of that mattered because it worked. For the first time in history, you could take a photograph with zero film, zero paper, zero chemicals. Sasson had just built the ancestor of every digital camera that exists today.
So Sasson does what you'd expect. He takes the prototype straight to Kodak's executives, demonstrates what it can do. And this is the moment that decides everything. The reaction in that room wasn't excitement. According to Sasson's own account years later, leadership looked at it and essentially said, "That's a cute toy. Don't talk about it." Sasson recalled that executives were afraid of one specific thing. If this technology succeeded, it would destroy Kodak's own film business, the business funding almost everything the company did. So instead of building on it, Kodak patented the technology and quietly shelved it. And here's the part that makes it even more remarkable. Kodak wasn't blind to what was coming. A 1979 internal report actually predicted digital photography could replace film by around 2010. They saw it coming, in writing, decades in advance. They just chose not to move.
And this is what makes it worse than a single bad decision. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It kept happening. 1989, Sasson and a colleague built something even more advanced, a self-contained digital SLR camera. Kodak could have led the entire camera industry with this. They declined to sell it. Same reason, protecting film sales. Meanwhile, companies like Sony, Canon, and Nikon had no film business to protect, so they went all in on digital with nothing holding them back. Then, in 2001, Kodak tried again. They acquired a company called Ophoto, an early online photo sharing service, rebranded it Kodak Gallery. This was years before Instagram, years before Facebook photos even existed. Kodak had an early foothold in exactly where photography was heading: online, digital, shared instantly. They fumbled that too. It never became the platform it could have been. 3 separate chances: the 1975 camera, the 1989 DSLR, the 2001 online photo service. 3 times, Kodak had the future in its hands. 3 times, it let go.
Now here's the part that really proves the point. Kodak wasn't the only film company facing this exact threat. There was another one, Fujifilm. Same industry, same disruption, same existential threat to film sales. By 2012, the exact same year Kodak filed for bankruptcy, Fujifilm posted over $21 billion in revenue. So what did Fujifilm do differently? Starting in 2000, under a new president named Shigetaka Komori, Fujifilm made a decision Kodak never made. Instead of asking, how do we protect the film business, they asked, what do we actually know how to do? Turns out, chemical compounds, precision coating technology at a molecular level. And where else could that apply? Cosmetics, believe it or not. Their film research into collagen and antioxidants led directly into a skincare line. Medical imaging equipment, even the protective film on nearly every phone and flat-screen TV made today. Fujifilm didn't just survive digital disruption, they used their old expertise to build entirely new industries. Kodak, meanwhile, kept protecting the exact same dying business, even when their own numbers told them not to. By 2001, they were losing about $60 on every digital camera they sold. By 2011, film still made them $34 million in profit. Digital cameras lost them $349 million. Same year, they were bleeding out in the exact business they'd been forced into too late.
By 2011, Kodak was hemorrhaging cash, thousands of layoffs. A company that once held close to 20,000 patents was reduced to trying to sell off its own patents just to survive one more year. January 19, 2012, Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Assets, $5.1 billion. Debts, $6.75 billion. The company that invented the digital camera was ultimately destroyed by the digital camera. So what actually killed Kodak? It wasn't a lack of talent. It wasn't a lack of technology. They built it, literally invented it. It wasn't even a lack of foresight. They predicted this in writing in 1979. What killed Kodak was an inability to act on what they already knew. And Fujifilm proves it didn't have to end this way. Same industry, same threat, same disruption. One company protected what it already had until there was nothing left to protect. The other one asked a harder question, not how do we save what we built, but what else can we build with what we already know? That's the real lesson here. The biggest threat to a business isn't always something you don't see coming. Sometimes it's something you invented yourself and were too afraid to use. If you found this one interesting, next time we're covering a different company that made the exact same mistake in a completely different industry. Subscribe so you don't miss it.